Shonali, was the use of WhatsApp, Signal, etc., just an inevitable consequence of people working from home?
Great question, Guy. And now you're talking about a different story here, which is the fines that are building up on Wall Street. Remember, we're talking about the relationship between Wall Street to Washington, and the regulators have come down significantly. We've seen more than $1 billion worth of fines when you look at the WhatsApp crackdown that's already happened. Yes, people have moved communications a lot over the last several years over to WhatsApp, Signal, Telegram. It's also, remember, there are a lot more apps to use now. It's not just WhatsApp, it's these other apps as well, where it's very difficult to maintain a record of what employees are doing. I will say now you have more banks, Wells Fargo, BNP, other international banks facing the same kind of crackdown and fines associated with this. However, I will also say let's keep on taking a look at this story, because you will also have private asset managers that are also facing scrutiny from the SEC regarding how they're communicating and whether it's going outside of the required means of communication.
What I do like about this story, though, is that it ties into all of Wall Street, private equity or big banks being like, guys, get back in the office now. like no more work from home, like let's get back.
I can't help myself. I have to tease my Friday newsletter because we're talking to all the big asset managers who have a flexible policy this summer, and there are not that many of them. There are a couple, Ares, Blue Owl, that will allow you to work from anywhere, actually, for the last couple weeks of August, so 3 weeks or so. There's different policies at different firms. Some other asset managers allow certain groups to do this. But to the point you're making here, how do you manage all of that while also making sure you're keeping into compliance, you're getting the business done as rigorously as you had before? I think there are a lot of lessons learned through this WhatsApp probe. I think very many people, I'll give you a personal anecdote. A private asset manager, a very senior person at one of the biggest private equity firms, when I talked about the banks, they froze up and said, listen, we are very acutely aware of this, and we understand that Gensler is looking at all of us too. And so it has been taken very seriously since the first wave of fines came last year at more than $1 billion. So very significant fines and very significant actions.
Shonali, do you get the sense that Moody's done yet? Or do you think it's got more banks to downgrade?
That's a great question as well. Remember, in the Moody's downgrade, Guy, you had a number of banks that were downgraded, but perhaps more troublesome for the market is the wave of banks that have put on review. And those are the ones that are facing severe pressures in the market. When you look at trading today, you have to look at the reasons they're downgraded. There are actually different reasons across the different banks. What they say when you scroll down to the bottom of the reports for those banks is how unlikely it is for these banks to be upgraded, which means that the overhang could last for a while, as well as that period of review where there is an uncertainty to the market until they potentially maybe don't face a downgrade. And then you have to recalculate here what that cost comes to them, because it does create some counterparty risk when you do see a bank downgraded, which is the vicious cycle that we're in with the banks that have already been downgraded. The costs can be higher for them under that scenario.